It is time for another Auburn post-game reaction show. This time, Auburn men's basketball versus the Vanderbilt Commodores. Your Auburn Tigers sadly fall in heartbreaking fashion at the very end of the game by the score of 65 to 67. It just pains me to even say that. We're going to talk about that here, all the reactions to that, the thoughts, the storylines, and the stats. Hope you guys are interested in talking about this still. I know that there's a bit of a heartbreak going on right now. So that's all this on this edition of our post-game reaction show starting right now. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, whether you're watching here, home base of YouTube, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, or even we've got Instagram Live going right now. We appreciate you all being here, hanging out with us, spending some time talking about this particular topic in the Auburn family spectrum. As I addressed at the very beginning of the stream, your Auburn Tigers fall on the road in Nashville by the score of 67 to 65. And it was a heartbreaker at the very end of the game. Vanderbilt gets a layup to win the game and send us with our tails between our legs back to Auburn, Alabama. Obviously, there's a lot of feelings. Obviously, there's a lot of opinions. Obviously, there's a lot of things that want to be said about this game. But here is the reality of where we stand at the start off. And I would love for you guys to start by checking in our normal process, post where you're watching from, City, State, International, and smash that like button if you enjoy this type of content. My opening thoughts. We talked a lot about where Auburn was in its search to make postseason play. Unfortunately, they really needed these next three games, counting the last one, this one, and the one after that, to really put themselves in a solid position heading to that. And unfortunately, they have dropped one of those. So now the situation becomes a little bit more dire. A little bit more proactivity has to be taken by Auburn in these next few games. You cannot drop the next one, and you must probably do something with one of those really difficult last three games that we'll talk about, I'm sure, some more. But that's kind of the situation it is right now. We don't really want to focus so much on what will or won't happen with the rest of the season, but obviously we want to talk a little bit about this game more specifically here. Devin says, checking in right here, says the inconsistency of this team just hurts. You do that to Missouri and then come to Vandy and lose. Ouch. Well, Devin, let's put that in perspective a little bit. So I think that's a fair statement to make, but let's put some context around that. You're looking at a basketball team that just came off of a heartbreaker, almost taking down Alabama at home and being able to dash their hopes and dreams for that number one spot that they eventually got, playing with a chip on your shoulder. And you're able to motivate yourself against Missouri to do something against them. And Missouri is not a bad team, but they're not a great team. Based off what I've seen thus far, it looks like Vandy has done a little bit more than Missouri. I haven't looked at their records and all that kind of stuff. So to me, comparing Missouri versus Vandy is not necessarily it's kind of apples and oranges. And this is on the road in Vanderbilt with what that particular court that I don't like provides into the equation. So there's that element as well too. Corey, good to see you. We got Richard, Chad, Unbeaten Lake already checking in. Thank you guys for being here and being part of the stream so far. And I see a bunch of you popping in on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for being here. So make sure you post a question up there. I'll try to keep track of them up there too, and I can take them here if you'd like to, or a comment. And obviously, if your comment is just Auburn sucks, that's not going to be addressed here, but we're looking for more concrete discussion points on this one. Brian, good to see you. This is one of I told you so moments. This is a learning year. If you're saying you told me so and that we're going to not make the tournament or something like that, I don't know what you're referring to, Corey. I disagree with you, but I would say this is a learning year. It's a learning year in that we're still trying to figure out exactly how this team works together, but we've been watching some very small pieces come to fruition slowly but surely throughout the season. It continues to be, I keep using this symbol right here, just this short, especially on the road. Just this short are not able to put together a complete game all the time and consistently. Just as short of somebody stepping up that's not normally stepping up, just as short of someone, not falling off for a game. This team is still very close and has not reached their potential, but the time now has arrived that they must respond and they must take care of business from now on. They taking care of these next 2-3 games, counting this one and the next one. Been a lot more of a different situation we'd be talking about, but now crunch time has arrived. Broom dominated in the post for the and you don't go to him for the last 2 to 30 minutes. Well, it's hard to when you're having a lot of their defending focus going on them. I'm not making excuses, but it's not as simple as he was cooking the entire game and then you don't go to him. I'm sure they were trying to. It's called great defense. If Vandy just had a normal court, we would win. Yeah, look, y'all know, for those of you that have followed E2C Network since the very beginning, you'll know that I hate this court with a passion for many reasons, just because it's so asinine. Like, it's stupid. It's just awful. It's disgusting. And obviously it results in things like that. I feel like we just have not had the best luck in at Vanderbilt simply because of that alone, and so many other teams too. But again, refs, courts are not the reason that you lose these games. You lose these games because you put yourselves in position for any of those negative factors to be a bigger factor. So it is still something I will lament about, though. I hate that court with a passion. How is it even possible to have one guy with 20 free throws in a game? Well, he has to have a foul called for him 10 different times, I guess, technically, if it wasn't a 1-and-1 situation or something like that. I don't know how all that breaks down for you tonight. Joe, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Think we can steal one from Alabama or Tennessee, and I still think we make the tournament. Well, the great thing is that Auburn still controls its destiny. It has the SEC tournament. All that's at play, and it still hasn't reached its peak, to be honest with you. It still has not arrived, as I've said, just right here. I told you so, as in this year will be our bump in the road. They need to learn how to gel better as a team. Well, the difference is it won't be the same team next year. So I still don't agree necessarily that this is just a year that we can dismiss now. It's not over yet, but crunch time has arrived. And I've been pushing on you guys a lot. It's those of you that have kind of been pushing the panic button a little bit early and trying to say, hold your brakes here. But I'm admitting now we have arrived to crunch time now. You must take care of business in the next game. You must get one of those 3 big ones that are at the end of the season, Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, to add to your resume. It must happen. The time has arrived. Kevin's good to see you here. One of our lights of positivity. Still great players. We'll win 4 more games, he says, and move on for some great times there. Devin says, I knew I shouldn't have gotten my hopes up when KD tied the game. So I know there's a lot of negative feelings right now, but can we just address that? Can we talk about that? We've been begging, hoping, pleading for the longest time for KD Johnson to be a bigger factor in this game offensively. And now tonight, when you look at his stats, I'm going back just to double check myself. KD Johnson, only 6 points tonight, but KD Johnson, the rest of the season, hasn't really contributed all that much outside of the last few games, and especially in big moments like that. And tonight he did that. So my hat's off to KD. Earlier this season, he probably doesn't knock down that shot, but because he's gotten that little bit of confidence, he's starting to find himself a little bit more consistently. Hats off to KD Johnson for knocking that down. But yes, getting your hopes up for that was the wrong thing to do. It's the Auburn way. It really is. Brian, you should not love this court. The court setup, it's awful. I would rather play every single basketball game in the airplane hangar that is the Tuscaloosa Gymnasium than this one. Awful, 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 awful court and gymnasium. We have the exact same record as the 2019 team. The only difference, probably experience, Bryce, Chuma. I mean, there's a lot of differences. It's not as similar as that. And, there are, but I like that you're pointing out there's some similarities right there that you can look at. I don't know that we're going to end up looking the exact same as them, though, by the time we get done with this particular season. I figured you were trying to get me going, Brian. Good. Well done there, sir. Well done. All right. So, talking about that tonight, Leor Berman, how about him stepping up? Love the confidence that he played with tonight. Out there, obviously knocking down his 3-point shots, but backing down a guy into the paint. He and KD have really inserted themselves of late in here into this lineup. And, it's been at a very crucial time where we've had some guys start to struggle, or either struggle or not be utilized or be as effective within the offense, such as Wendell Green. Wendell has been a beast for us all season, carrying a lot of the load on his back along with Janai, and does not have a great game tonight at all. 5 points. He looked like he was getting swarmed a lot. One bad game doesn't negate how important he is to this team, but obviously that's been that was something tonight that was definitely a factor into this game. Corey says, "I'm sending my lucky rabbit's foot to for Bruce Pearl." That's funny. Not sure what to make of people saying we just aren't good this year. I think we could be. We just haven't broken through yet. I agree with that. I think being good and breaking and reaching your peak are two different conversation points that you can have about this team, because you can't really make definitive statements until the season's over with and we know the full gamut of information. Let's see here. I didn't understand more shooting the 3-pointer at the end of the game when we were only down by 1 point. They make decisions. We all make decisions when we're in the heat of the moment sometimes that maybe aren't necessarily the best thing. One of the things I love about Bruce Pearl is that he gives his players freedom to create, freedom to do what they feel at the moment is right. And sometimes with that comes some consequences. So obviously Chris knows he has that leeway, whether it's the right decision or not. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. I would prefer the way Bruce coaches to let their guys play loose and free and have the freedom to make those shots and not just feel like, hey, don't do that. You're not the guy who should be shooting that. Wendell and Harper almost the same height, great mid-court shooters. Is that true? Are they exact same measurables? I feel like it's comparable, but it feels like when Wendell's got taller hair, so I would say he feels a little bit taller. Different type of point guard, though. Wendell's got a little bit more power to him and a little bit more grit to him, I think. No knocking, Jared Harper or anything like that. But, yeah. Leor Berman is a very crucial. Well, it's not a moral victory, but Leor Berman is a very big thing for this team going forward. If he can stay hot like this and KD can stay consistent and Wendell find himself again, feel very good about this. So with that being said, we kind of started off with some initial conversation points. Let's move into some statistics talk tonight. We'll kind of come back and talk about anything that you guys bring up along the way. Well, let's start off with some individual statistics tonight. We already mentioned Wendell Green. Not a great game for him. 0 for 3 from three-point land, 2 for 14 from the field, 5 points total. That's two. In last game, he just wasn't part of the offensive production a whole lot, whether that was by design, by choice, whatever, or just having in a slump right now. But this point still remains that he has not been a very big factor offensively part of this team for the last couple of games here. We were complimenting Leor. We complimented, the clutch shot by KD. We got a couple of other laurels to throw out here to several other players. We've got Jalen frickin' Williams, 17 points, 8 for 12 from the field, 1 for 3 from beyond the arc, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, only 1 personal foul in it, 31 minutes of play, which is the most out of everybody, and you understand why. Absolutely took control of this team tonight in many ways and put them on his back as a leader, contributing statistically, but also what he brings to the table. He's on the floor. Now, your leading scorer tonight, Janai Broome, 20 points, absolutely dominant, especially to start off the second half. I thought that was a beautiful game plan to go straight down there to him to get us going in the positive direction to come out of that half. And obviously established a little bit of a lead for us. And we had an opportunity to push that lead out even further, and we did not take it. Slim says on Instagram, he says, second half no-show. Completely disagree based off just what I said right there. Now, you can say maybe the back half was not great or the back portion of it, but they completely showed up when they came out of the second half. Janai Broom alone was the reason that we were in this game, in the position that we were in to win this thing, because of how they got us started off coming out of that second half. Is this Wendell's last year? No, I think he's only a junior. I think the only seniors are Alan Flanagan, Jalen Williams. I feel like there's another one out there that I'm missing. But yeah. I haven't even looked at the free throws yet, Devin. Don't make me look at the free throws. I'm going to, though, at some point. All right. So keep moving through the stats here. Jalen Williams, Janai Broom. Anybody want to throw out a player of the game? Anybody got any thoughts on that? Let me know down there in the comments section if you've got a particular player of the game. I think that's your two candidates, Jalen and Janai. 20 points for Janai. 6 rebounds, so not really close to a double-double for him, but just offensively a great night for him. He gave up 4 turnovers, though. Shocking. That's really shocking. Zep Jasper, no points for him tonight. Not a shock right there, but we don't anticipate him ever really being a offensive factor. It's great when he is, but obviously that's kind of what we're used to. Alan Flanagan, 5 points tonight. He knocked down into the half jumper too in the first half, so put his team in position right there. He also knocked down a pretty clutch shot late in the second half too, to give ourselves a chance for that KD Johnson 3-point knockdown. Trey Donaldson, 0 points tonight. Chris Moore, 2. Leo Berman, 8. And Dylan Cardwell, 2. Really like the rapport Cardwell has with the guards, especially on a fast break. And obviously he's an energy guy when he comes in. But really, when you look at this tonight, if you want to talk about individual statistics, if we get a little bit more from Wendell, and maybe if we get a little bit more from Trey too tonight, the point guard position, this might have been a win tonight. It's not the only reason. It's not the only blame to go around, but really that's the thing that kind of sticks out to me and it's glaring a little bit tonight. All right. Team statistics. Let's get to them. I'm dreading looking at that free throw percentage when I get down there. I think I've already taken a quick peek at it. Y'all know I preach and harp on free throw percentage. Field goal percentage tonight, pretty decent. Auburn, 44% from the field, 32% from the 3-point arc, which is, for us, pretty good, to be honest with you. Take a deep breath, Kyle. 50% from the free throw line. What do I say, folks? What do I say? Free throws will win and lose you championships and games. 74% for Vanderbilt. Obviously, they could have done a little bit better too, but 50%. Now, they had 27 attempts to our 10 attempts at the free throw arc. Still got to make them, though. If you make those free throws, it's a different ball game. Even those 5 that we missed. Very, very, very frustrating. Can we swap Kentucky and Tennessee for LSU and South Carolina? Not quite. You got to play who's on the schedule, right? So really, when you look at that, I think it was Devin that said it earlier. Free throws is maybe the big stat in this game. 50% from the free throw line and the attempts that they were able to get as well. Turnovers pretty even. Only 9 for Auburn, right about where we've been sitting normally. Points off of turnovers about dead even. Rebounds, they win tonight. They won both categories of, actually, let me get that right. Yes, both categories of rebounds and in total as well. Second chance points in favor of Auburn. Points in the paint tonight, which is what we're used to for Auburn. 40 points, especially that helped by Janai, the way he started off the second half. So a lot of the things that we normally do, lower side of the turnover margin, higher end of points in the paint, getting production from some guys like Lior, and then clutch moments like KD are things that don't happen as consistently. The thing we go back to tonight, point guard play on both players and free throw percentage. Not good. Not good. A couple other stats here. Blocks for Auburn, 2. Blocks have really gone down for Auburn as of late. It's really discouraging to see that. Assists tonight, 13 for Auburn. They shared the ball really well. I liked there was a lot of unselfishness at times. That pass back to Lior, I think it was from KD, that set him up for that beautiful 3-point shot. So Auburn, in a lot of these close losses in SEC play, has done a lot of things right, has found themselves in a position to win, has just not been able to close it out. I would rather them not be able to close it out now than in the SEC tournament, than in the NCAA tournament, if they make that. And that is up for question right now, just because of how things are trending. Rob says we have to beat Ole Miss. Yes, I completely agree with that. That is now a must win at this point. That's on the road or home. I can't remember. Is that back home? I can't remember. I guess I could double check that on the calendar real quick just to make sure we're on the same page here. Yes, Auburn, Alabama 9 this Wednesday night. So huge. And they are tricky for some reason, but they have not been good this year. So hopefully that's a little bit better. Corey says it could be worse. We could have our guys with Shaq's free throw shooting skills. Tonight's percentage makes me feel like they do. Oh, man, it is just, when you look at this tonight, I understand everybody's frustration. This is 4 games now, I think, in SEC play where we've been at the end in a position to win and we could not close it out. This is a team that had a lot of hype around it, a lot of expectations that have not been met. So I understand the frustration. I understand the pessimism a little bit, but my encouragement still is to you folks. Take a deep breath. Still plenty of games left in the season. 4, right? SEC tournament. Let's get this thing figured out. Still plenty of time for everybody to find themselves all at the right time. The guys that we need to contribute, Katie Johnson and Leo Berman, are starting to do that. Wendell's gone on a little bit of slump. When he comes back to that point, if they're all doing that together at the right amount of time, peaking at the right time, you never know. But yeah, so it could be worse. Could be worse. That's what I'll say about that. What else? Any other thoughts tonight about this particular game? I know this is not one that's fun to talk about and one to really dive into great detail in. So post those in the chat right now. Let me give you guys a couple of things to keep in mind. Things we got coming up here on E2C Network tomorrow night, 9 Eastern time. Don't miss it. Another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast, which is our flagship show across YouTube, across podcasts, across social media. That's where you want to be. It's all about sports. It's about our culture. It's all about our Auburn family, myself and Austin Scott. So we do that live recording where you can chat with us before and after. Don't miss that. We have a great time there. And obviously you can catch the actual podcast on any podcast app out there as well. For those of you on YouTube, most of these reminders are for people on YouTube, but you guys can listen along on social media. Check out, if you're not a subscriber, so you can be part of that giveaway. Check out our channel membership program, our booster club program, all those starting at $1 to help keep the lights on here at E2C Network. And of course, smash the like button. If you're on Instagram watching, please give us a follow. We're trying to get that Instagram subscriber or followership up a little bit. So help us do that if you can. Invite some friends to follow us on Instagram. Unbeaten Lake says we'll take a couple more comments and questions and then we'll kind of round out our show. Way too many open threes for Vandy and they made most of them. Yes. So one thing you can't do is make it easy on someone at home, especially when you have the most awful gymnasium, court, arena in college basketball, not just SEC. In basketball, you cannot allow them the opportunity to feel comfortable, especially at the 3-point arc. And they did that tonight. So I thought, Jerry Stackhouse seems to be a pretty good pickup as a coach for Vanderbilt. I know he's been there a few seasons now, but still seems to have them heading in the right direction to be back to be relevant in the conversation SEC-wise. And at least able to beat teams like Auburn on the road. Now, I know as Auburn continues to lose games, it seems like not as a big of a deal. But obviously, it was a big deal to them because we are, I believe, a quad 1 win for them, getting into potential postseason play for them. So rounding out my thoughts tonight, and maybe some of yours as well, very frustrated right now. I understand that. I encourage you, though, to keep your head up and focus on what this team potential could be that hasn't been realized yet. Got to learn how to finish on the road. Got to find all of these different pieces, all of these different players peaking at the right time, whether that's Katie and Lior starting to contribute and Wendell dropping off. If we can get them to find that momentum, those opportunities that swing in the right direction together, this team could be, and I believe has the potential to be, a very deadly team come postseason play. Lots still on the table. We will see what happens. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today, being part of our little family within the Auburn family, and watching here on social media, however you got here today, because we appreciate you being here and hanging out with us. Until we talk to you again, though, War Eagle.